Yes. If that ever quits, let me know. Because sometimes it'll just stop. Alright. I'm going to read y'all something. Oh, yay. No. I could say y'all are going to read something.
No.
Oh, that's too hard. I wanted that. I don't want to.
It hurts my eyes.
Speaking of, did we do the quote for this week yet? I have a quote for you from Teddy Roosevelt.
And they all say president.
Teddy Roosevelt. What do you know about Teddy Roosevelt? He was the president. He's the last man to be president.
Fought the Spanish American War.
We've had guys be president. He's the last man to be president. He won the Spanish American War with the Rough Riders. Went down to San Antonio, got a bunch of Nelsons, said, let's go win the Spanish American War. Maybe a minute in there too. Who knows? He got shot in the chest and gave his speech, then went to the hospital. Now his speech was folded up, and it was pretty thick. It slowed the bullet down, but it didn't go in his speech. Not very many people have been shot in the chest and then went ahead and did the speech. Anyway, Teddy Roosevelt said, 90%, you put this in your phone, put it right down somewhere, whatever you want to do. Oh, it's good stuff. Teddy Roosevelt, 90% of the work done in this country, 90% of the work done in this country, 90% of the work done in this country is done by people who don't feel good. 90% of the work done in this country is done by people who don't feel good. Which means everything that gets done is done by people who don't feel like doing it. So that doesn't matter. 90% of the work done in this country is done by people who don't feel good. Now let's talk about 19 zeros not feeling good. There's no, the 19 zeros, there's no aspirin, there's no Advil, there's no Tylenol, it's just deal with it. So that's really not feeling good. I deal with it with Excedrin extra strengths. Off-brand Excedrin extra strengths. And off-brand ibuprofen. I never bench press, and that's how bad things have gotten. Bench press day, I've got to take ibuprofen. Shoulder day and back day, I just deal with it. Leg day, I take Excedrin extra strength off-brand. Because I take it so it doesn't, so my body doesn't build up tolerance. I just do it, just break it up. So that's how I do it. I'm not as much of a man as Teddy Roosevelt. He didn't have Excedrin extra strength. Okay, I'm gonna read you something. We're gonna be looking at checks and balances a little bit today. The Constitution, I'll give you a little hint, the father of the Constitution was James Madison. James Madison. James Madison wrote most of the Constitution, wrote a lot of the Bill of Rights, and wrote most of the Federalist Papers that defended what the Constitution was trying to do. Federalist Paper number 51 is probably the most famous. Number 10's up there. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm just reading a little excerpt. In this Federalist Paper, James Madison explains and defends the checks and balances system in the Constitution. Each branch of government is framed so that its power checks the power of the other two branches. Additionally, each branch of government is dependent on the people, who are the source of legitimate authority. It's a quote. It may be a reflection on human nature that such devices, checks and balances, should be necessary to control the abuses of government. Not if the government abuses something, the abuses of government. Government is corrupt. Why? People, human beings. If me and Lane, I trust Lane, okay? I know Lane a little bit. I don't know everything about Lane, but I trust him. Am I a complete piece of garbage? I'm a piece of garbage. But I'm not a complete piece of garbage, okay? If me and, let's say we're the government, we're in charge of handing out cookies. I would like to say that everyone would get cookies before we got some. I would hope they would. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not the case. We're going to get some cookies. Why? Because we're handing them out. And I can tell you this, you're going to get plenty of snickerdoodles. Because I can't stand snickerdoodles. If there's some peanut butter cookies, or if there's some chocolate chip cookies without any chocolate chips, if there's a half-cooked chocolate chip cookies, if there's cookie dough, sorry, we're out. You don't have anything. Sorry, don't get anything. Does that make sense? I'm going to hold back the macadamia nut cookies. You are getting the snickerdoodles. That's how the government does it. Because human beings are involved. Government is corrupt. But what is government itself but the greatest reflection? Yeah. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? It says all the government is a reflection of what the people are. That's all government is. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed. So for a government to work, it's got to be able to run the show. Second part is, there has to be something to control itself. So you got to have government, and it's got to be powerful enough to control stuff, but there has to be something to control the government. Everybody down with that? A dependence on the people is, no doubt, the primary control on the government, but experience has taught mankind the necessity of auxiliary precautions. It means you can't trust people. We can say people are in charge of this, but we can't do that because people can't be trusted. So something within the government has to be put in there where the government can control itself. Can't trust people to control it. Madison also discusses the way Republican government can serve as a check on the power of factions and the tyranny of the majority. So the Republicans or the Democrats win the election, or they gain control of Congress. We've got to have something there to keep them from just railroading everything through that they want, even though they won the election. We have to protect the minority. We have to protect the other side, other views. In the Federal Republic of the United States, let me say something about that. I heard a story this morning. Math stuff. All right, as soon as I say that, instantly, some of y'all went, whoop, and some of y'all went, whoop. I think most of us are whoop over here. I don't like masks. I saw a guy pick Colt up at the airport when all this thing really started. And there was a guy who had a mask, a plastic thing, and then a thing over all of that. That's an effective mask, right? The thing I wore last year, not effective one bit. But I followed the rules. It didn't help not spread it. I really don't care about sick. That's part of my problem. I don't care. I'm not afraid. Probably should be sometimes, but I'm not afraid. You ever had a shot? I did tell you I got the shot finally because Christy said I could still come to work if something happened. I can still come to work. That's what I can't not work. I can't skip. But anyway, this couple has a kid with cystic fibrosis. I don't know what cystic fibrosis is. I'm glad my kid doesn't have it. So they're afraid. They don't want their kid to get it because if he gets it, there's a pretty good chance he's going to die of it. Can we all understand that? So these people wear masks. Do you know if they want to or not? They do it because they don't want their kid to die. They think that's going to give them a better chance of the kid not dying. So they went out to eat last week in Dallas. There's raving, you have to wear a mask every second, people. And there's raving, I'm never wearing a mask ever, people. Right? Face painters. What did the raving, I'm never wearing a mask person always cite or always say should be done every time? Why should you not have to wear a mask? Individual freedom. Right? My choice. Let the individual decide for themselves. They went to this restaurant and the receptionist up front said, you have to take your mask off. The majority of people in there decide we're not wearing masks. And they told them to come here, you have to take your mask off. And they didn't really hear it, and they just went and sat down, and they had their masks on. And somebody came over and sat down and said, you've got to either leave or take the mask off. that freedom? No. Did it affect them for the couple to wear the mask? They have a legitimate reason for wearing the mask.
Yes.
No. That's kind of an example of the, what was I saying, the tyranny of the majority. In the Federal Republic of the United States, all authority in it will be derived from and dependent on the society. The society itself will be broken into so many parts, interests, and classes of citizens that the rights of individuals or of the minority will be in little danger from interested combinations of the majority. Let's say it is. Our government has to be prepared to protect individual rights from all kinds of things that are happening. Quote, all of the Constitution's checks and balances, Madison includes, serve, preserve liberty, or protect rights. By ensuring justice, Madison explained, justice is the end of government. It's the goal of government. It is the goal of civil society. So, we're going to look at some checks and balances today. There are three branches. What did you learn in elementary school about the three separate but equal branches? That's a lie. They didn't mean to be lying to you. I think I might even have said that lie once, but there are not equal branches. Let's say there's the legislature. What is the job of the legislative branch? What does Congress do?
Congress
Pass acts or laws.
They write laws.
right law.
They come up with the policies. So let's look at what the legislative branch does to the executive branch. They can override presidential vetoes. What's a veto?
Like when the president says this bill.
They say no. Congress passes the bill, goes to the House and Senate, they give it to the president says no. President cannot say, I like this part, but I'm going to veto this part. It's all or nothing. Either this whole thing works, or I'm taking none of it. They negotiate back and forth. They know exactly what's going to happen. The president will say, if you put that in there, I'm vetoing it. And Congress will say, oh yeah, well we know you like this part, we dare you to veto it. So we both know what's fixing to happen. It takes a 3/4 vote to override a presidential veto. Did you ever get 3/4 of Congress to vote for anything?
No.
This never happens, bless you. It's happened twice, I think, in my lifetime. Once I know for sure. You're gonna hear me talk about cows jumping the pasture, or keeping the cows in the pasture. The Democrats have more cows in their pasture than the Republicans have in the House. If the Democrats keep all their cows in the pasture, can they lose anything in the House?
No.
No. If they lose cows to the other pasture, can they lose stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. The Republicans have less cows in their pasture. Can they afford to let any of their cows get out? They have to keep everybody together, hope some other cows will jump in with them. To get 3/4 vote, you gotta have a lot of cows jumping the pasture. And right now, you have Democratic Joe Biden, or there'd be a whole lot of Democrats jump to get 3/4 of the vote to go against the president. Does that make sense? I know I said that pretty awkward. You're never gonna get 3/4 of Congress to go, a bunch of them to go against their own president. I came in here the spring of 2016. Might have been February, I don't know. President Obama had just vetoed a bill, and Congress overrode the veto by almost a unanimous vote. And I came in, and y'all know who you're dealing with. Y'all came came in and said, President Obama did the right thing here. And Congress just destroyed it. This is one of the dumbest things Congress has ever done. It's election. On election years, if you watch a ball game or watch anything on TV, there's gonna be some stupid commercial come on. About 50 stupid commercials will come on. And they're all the same. you hear this music, kind of build-up music playing, little violin string music, and then you see the waving flag. Might even hear the eagle, you know, in the background. And you see some guy in a cowboy hat leaning on the fence. Texas, family, and then it fades to black, and it shows a black and white picture. And it goes dun. The cellos start playing dun dun. Black woman hates Texas, hates your children, hates freedom. And then the music comes back. I voted to give you the right to sue terrorists. My opponent loves terrorists. That's the whole. They voted almost unanimously to give Americans the right to sue terrorists. President Obama saw that and that is stupid. No. What if I sue Ahmed from Tehran in Iran?
What does that even do for you?
Is he going to show up? Number one, where's that trial taking place? Is it in America? Okay. You think Ahmed's will get on a plane and fly to America? Oh, they've been sued. Let's go. You know, it's a plane and comes to America. You think that's going to happen? No. Is it going to take place in Iran? No. And Obama said, this is stupid. And Congress said, we're going to have this. Because I want those. And America said, yes, I love my congressman hates terrorism. His opponent loves terrorism. Anyways, that's the only time I know of that there's been an overriding of veto. It doesn't happen. But it's that power is there. Congress also gets a chance to say yes or no to presidential appointments. This is not dentist appointments. This is, I'm picking a judge. Or, I'm picking a Secretary of State. If I'm president, and I pick my best friend in the world, Wayne Lloyd, to be Attorney General. Wayne's a great guy. He's honest, he's hardworking, he's dependable. He's been a coach for a long time, so he can handle groups of people. Would he be a good Attorney General?
Yes.
He'd be horrible. He never went to law school, ever. So Congress would look at him and go, well, this is dumb, he cannot be Attorney General, he's not qualified. Next. Is it good to let the Senate, 100 people, look at who the president wants to run some things? Instead of just let the president pick whoever they want. That's good. Part of the problem is, let's say I'm running as a libertarian. I'm president. I have an L next to my name, which is like a Republican on steroids. If I was going to be anything, I'd be a libertarian, but I can't go for drug legalization, so I can't be a libertarian. I'm not a nothing. I'm not a member of the party. The Democrats would see my name picking this person. They used to say, well, that guy's stupid. He's conservative, so that's dumb. No. I'm conservative, so if I'm elected, I'm going to pick conservative people. Newsflash. President Biden. What kind of judges is he going to pick? Liberal. No kidding, really? Wow, I never thought. Your job is to look and see, can these people do this job? Are they qualified? Not, well, I disagree with it. Well, no kidding. Wham. You know? But that's a good thing. Now, a power they have over the judicial branch. We've already said it. What's a power they have over the judicial branch? They can say yes or no to these judicial appointments. Now, at the federal level, judges are appointed by the president. They're not elected. Why is it fantastic that we don't elect judges? What if we did elect judges? How would that change things? Brady, you're a judge. You got a big case in front of you. It's an election year. Is that gonna affect your decision?
Probably.
Is that good that we would be able to affect judges' decisions?
Nope.
It's not good at all. Judges are appointed at the federal level, they're there for life. They can either resign, retire, or if they mess up, we get rid of them. But they're there, they're free to do what they think is best. You don't have to worry about us. The judicial branch, this is not saying much, they're the most mature and responsible branch we got. But they truly are mature and responsible. They are not political. About 80% of them just do their job and don't worry about conservative, liberal, Republican, Democrat. They just do their job, which is what it's supposed to be. Now, to both of them, they have a power over both branches. Has to do with the fruit you can only get in the summertime. The best kind is kind of the crunchy kind that when you bite it, it pulls away from the seed, and all you're left with is a little seed. Plum. Peach. Peach nut. What is impeachment? That could be the punishment. Impeachment just means to accuse. It's a trial. And y'all are one of the few groups I've ever had that actually kind of halfway has heard or seen an impeachment. Right? President Trump was impeached. Yeah. Trying to be completely unbiased. What was he impeached for? Completely unbiased. What was he impeached for? The question was, did he use federal aid money to bribe a country to give information? That's corruption. That's illegal. If that happened, that's illegal. That didn't happen. They found him not guilty. President Clinton committed perjury. He lied under oath to a grand jury. That's a criminal act. But the economy was great. It's only sex, and sex is okay with anybody, anywhere, anytime. So, plus he's pro-abortion, so everything's fine. There literally was a reporter who wrote, I'm going to paraphrase, Bill Clinton is, we need to let him do whatever he wants because he protects abortion. The Me Too thing didn't happen yet. Anyway, Nixon did not get impeached. He chose to resign to not put the country through impeachment. If they commit a crime, you can't impeach someone because you don't like them.
Well, I thought Ms. Pelosi.
Okay. But there has to be a crime in there. It doesn't mean you don't like what they do, it means they committed some sort of crime. Now let's look at the executive branch. The executive branch's job is to carry out the laws, enforce the laws. What power does the executive branch have over the legislature? I've already said it. What's that?
Override vetoes.
President can't override the veto.
Oh, the executive branch.
The executive branch gets to veto bills. Once the president vetoes it, is it over? So that's the power the president has. Congress can override that veto. So right now, who's winning the game? Which is the most powerful, legislative or executive?
Executive.
Legislative. They can take away what he can do. What about the judicial branch? What can the president do to the judicial branch? You gonna veto their bill? Can pick judges. president picks the judges. Once the president picks them, do they automatically get their job? Have to go through the legislature. So once again, who's winning? The legislative branch is more powerful than the executive. The executive has to ask permission for everybody. It's not equal. So far, the legislative is most powerful. We agree? And who does the legislative represent? Us. The people. Now they use us. They don't represent us. They use us. And they bring out the bright lights and candy. We start asking questions. Oh, and then we just fall right in line again. What's the last branch? Just did that one. Judicial. Right? Judicial has one power, and it's over both branches. And that is the power of judicial review. Anybody know what this is? You heard of this? Congress, no, the Supreme Court and federal courts can take any action of government. It could be a law, it could be a program, it could be the president issuing an executive order. So anything Congress does, anything the president does, and they can say that is unconstitutional. That's illegal. You can't do that. Mr. President, you can't do that. Congress, that law, that program. I think there's been 3 different times the Obamacare deal has gone before the Supreme Court with one side claiming it's unconstitutional. And all 3 times it's come back saying, no, it's not. I think now the tax is out. I think now you don't have to buy life insurance or health insurance. Might be wrong. Used to, when they first passed it, everyone had to have health insurance. I don't know if you have to have it. Which group is the most powerful branch? Judicial. Can this be, if they say something's unconstitutional, can the president say, well, I don't want to do that? No. What they say goes. So they're the most powerful. What's the good news for us though? They're the most responsible and the most mature group we have. They don't abuse this. About 80% of the judges and justices on there take their job extremely seriously, and they're free from worrying about what we think, and they do a really good job. So that's your checks and balances. Next week, on the chance to do good, I will have 7 statements. And there'll be a blank and a blank. One of the statements will be President picks judges. This blank, President picks judges. This branch is doing this to that branch. The answer is in the statement. What branch is doing this? Executive. Because the president is the executive branch. What branch is it being done to? Judicial. See how easy that is? The only one where the answer is not directly here is can override veto. Who is that done to? The president. Legislative does that to the president. Does that make sense? That's how we're going to. All right. I can show you a picture a little bit. You don't like pictures? It's not like an exciting picture, but it's semi-interesting. We'll do 8 of these. 6 of them will take about, let's say, 2.5 minutes. I won't lie. Slide it over to your person sitting next to it. assume. About 3 or 4 of these is review. The other 3 are very simple. There's 2 of them we'll discuss a little bit. I don't care that you know